Hi, I'm Don Corson, the winemaker here at Camaraderie, moving into our 29th vintage, which is quite a few for a winemaker or for a winery. We're here in one of our back alcoves of the winery. You can see some of the sculpture and the roses here, and we invite you to come and explore this really fun place. But today we're going to explore some of our Tempranillos. It's sort of a representative sample of Tempranillos that are the 2011, the 13, 14, and 17 as just sort of a snapshot, several different snapshots of what Tempranillo is like in the state of Washington. All of these wines are from our friends at Crawford Vineyard. I was just talking with Connie Crawford just yesterday about how the next crop is coming, and she's really excited about the coming harvest, which will be sometime in October most likely. I've already poured some of these wines for us, and some of the things that I want you to call your attention to if you buy this wonderful 4-pack for $85 is that this represents a range of years. The years are not all the same, so there's going to be some annual or vintage differences. Also, we noticed over the last couple of days that these wines have thrown a lot of sediment. They are big tannic wine, and so I've strongly suggested to myself that these wines need to be decanted and certainly opened up for some period of time so that they can, like a good Rioja, well-aged Rioja wine in Spain. Here's the 2011. That's the oldest. It's now moving into its first decade of life. And if you buy this 4-pack, I'd suggest that you enjoy this sooner than later. It has, there's nothing like good bottle aging to create some aromas that you just don't get from a newly bottled wine that you're enjoying within 90 minutes of purchase. So big and rich as it's opened up over the last about an hour and a half, as a matter of fact. The aromas have really deepened. It's really quite lovely, but you can notice perhaps a little bit of an orange cast, a little bit of a brownish cast. That's not a bad thing. It's just indicating that it's been in bottle long enough and the genie wants out. This is the 2013, a couple years later. And in comparison, this wine was harvested October 16th instead of nearly at Halloween for this one. The kind of chemistry that was going on with that at that time in terms of the acidity and sugars were very different. Cold year becoming sort of a normal year for us. This has a lot of the aromas that you would find very much in a Rioja that was beautifully aged. By the way, the Spanish use a lot of American oak in their winemaking process, which is sort of an interesting thing. The Tempranillo is so big and rich that it holds up to American oak, which tends to be a little bit stronger with a little bit more vanilla notes. Some of the cacao notes that are typical of Rioja are very present there. The Tempranillo from the 14 vintage, looking at my notes here, it was harvested on October 10th instead of near Halloween. Very high sugars again. Acids dropped out. They always do after the first day. Tartaric will fall out, and the pH rose from 3.3 to 4, which for any of you in chemistry would say, "Whoa, what happened there?" Which is sort of funny. Still very present. The 14 was in mostly newer kind of American oak, and Tempranillo will take all of the oak it can get and give it back to you very beautifully. One of the components of mellowing those harsh tannins. The 2017, looks very different. It's a little bit clearer. It is not nearly as dense in its structure just from looking at it. That's why you have those 6 S's of to see and to swirl and to sniff, sip, savor, and swallow. Aroma is much more bright, much more fruit directed, and it's another one of those Halloween wines. It was harvested on the 30th of October And sugars were 23.8 instead of like 25 or something like that. A very cool fermentation, meaning in the 70s. It only got up in the 70s instead of into the middle 80s. All of that has created a lively wine. This one you could absolutely have on your patio. All of them you could have on your patio. But this with manchego cheese and maybe with some Spanish sausage kind of things could be really, really, really good from our friends at Coro Salumi over there in Seattle. Oh, this is just very, very aromatic, very lovely. A youthful wine, certainly in comparison to the 2011. So as we wrap this up, and I could just talk about this forever, as some of you know, but these wines are a great example of Tempranillo in Washington State. There are only about 74 acres of Tempranillo in the entire state, compared to 55,000 acres of total grape production in the state. So it's rare and it's wonderful to be able to work with a vineyard like the Crawfords, to be able to get extraordinary fruit and have a wonderful, wonderful relationship with the grower as well. Come back and see this wonderful part of our garden. I was going to say vineyard, but our garden, and enjoy the roses and the hummingbirds and the birds behind us sometime. So thank you so much for hanging in with me. Bye.